sir.
Good. You are live on YouTube.
All right, good evening. I would like to call the Litchfield June 9th, 2021 zoning board meeting to order. I will begin by taking attendance. I'll just ask for everybody to go and state their name. Laura Gandia present.
Al Gilbo present.
John Devereaux present.
Kyle Derso present.
And Kyle, are you an alternate member currently?
I am an alternate member.
All right, so I am going to appoint you to a full voting member for tonight. And we will jump in right to the case number 2021-07. It was continued from May 12th, 2021. It's a variance from LZO section 310 to allow a residence which would encroach 6 feet into the side setback where 20 feet is required. Applicant and owner is Dale George and Paige Cook. Location of property is 2 Underwood Drive, Litchfield, New Hampshire, 03052, map 9, lot 54. And who will be presenting?
Yeah, Jeff, come on. Right up.
Daryl coming.
He's on, I can see his name on the board.
Okay, so who's presenting?
I'll present. My name is Greg Jeffrey from Jeffrey Land Survey, doing business at 1 Burgess Drive in Litchfield, New Hampshire.
And Mr. Jeffries, before you begin, I just wanted to point out one thing. We have a 4-member board. You're entitled to a 5-member board. If you want, you can continue the case to next month until hopefully we could have a 5-member. If you choose to move forward, you will need to get 3 positive votes out of the 4 people present. Do you wish to continue?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Before we start, I know that at the last meeting, when this was presented, I believe Mr. George had problems with WebEx. I see Daryl's name up there. Daryl, are you live? Can you hear
I'm
me?
here.
Okay. Okay. So it's just so you know, it's just your name on the screen.
Okay.
So I'll start the presentation. Before us, we have a proposed equal area lot line adjustment between number 2 and number 4 Underwood Drive in Litchfield. It's located right off Pinecrest Road in Litchfield. The applicants, Mr. Guay and Mr. George, they've come to a equal area lot line adjustment agreement with one of the lot lines being within 6 feet of the northerly of the garage that exists at number 2 Underwood Drive. The history of the case is that back in, I believe it was 1977 or thereabouts, a building application was submitted and accepted and approved by the town of Litchfield for the addition of a garage onto number 2 Underwood Drive. That put the existing dwelling of number 2, it put it over 6 feet over the existing lot line between number 2 and number 4. In 2019, I was contacted by Mr. Guay, he's the owner of number 4 Underwood, and we staked out a lot line of the property, and that's when it became evident that the lot line actually went through a good portion of the existing dwelling at number 2 Underwood. So earlier, either late last year or earlier this year, they agreed to a lot line adjustment, trying to have as minimal impact as possible. So that puts, they agreed to 6 feet off the existing dwelling of number 2 Underwood, parallel to the northerly face of the garage. And the lot lines are configured in such a way that the transfer of property will be equal area, so that there's no net change in total area of either lot. So does anyone have any questions at this time?
Any members of the board have questions?
The 6 foot was a understanding that it would be a decent area to maintain the garage, to go around. Put up a ladder, work on the roof, paint it, whatever. It doesn't go right next to the house. So that is short of the 20-foot requirement by the current zoning regulations of Litchfield. So the applicants are asking for 14 feet of relief.
So, I guess I do have a question. So
Yep.
right now,
Mhm.
the lot is uncompliant
Correct.
and it's at 0 feet. It's
It's less than, yes.
It's negative.
It's
negative.
how would you say it? Negatives,
26 feet.
negatives? Yeah, negative
okay.
60.
So
Yeah.
so they want to
Negative 20, yeah, you're right.
so they want to give the neighbor wants to give 6 feet to Darryl George for the lot to become closer to compliant, right?
Should be 12 feet.
Yeah, do you want to, I have some paper
Picture?
copies.
Yeah,
if you wanna
take
take a look.
plans, that'd
Yeah.
be great.
Is anyone else?
That would be great. Yeah, visual would be great.
Thank you. Visuals usually helpful.
Yeah. I thought there was some that was submitted with the-
You guys work on that one.
So in effect, it's not going to be fully compliant, but it's going to be much more compliant to have a house on its own property than to have the existing house on the aggrieved party's property.
Yep.
So,
Hey, there you go.
oh, there,
Great job, Laura.
there it is.
Okay, I just tried to screen share it. Did it work?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, we can see it.
You saw this, right? Jeff?
Yeah.
So the pool on the neighbor's lot is well
Yes.
inside the line and everything.
Yes. Not shown on this is, by the, the angle point just north of the garage, there's a, I'd call it a playground area for the kids.
Okay.
Swing
Actually,
set.
it's been taken down and it's now a garden.
Oh, okay.
That was the compromise.
It's a good idea.
So this, certainly would have to go, any lot line adjustment is under the purview of the planning board, and that'll be coming up in the future, but this is going in front of the zoning board to see if it would be, if we could get this taken care of before it goes to the planning board, because that's the only outstanding issue.
So it still will go to the planning board after.
Yes, lot line adjustments have to go to the planning board so they can sign the Mylar. I'm sorry?
Is that another?
Yes. At least one meeting.
It's just one, but.
Very good.
Any questions from the board?
Not at this time?
I think we're good, Laura.
I have a question or just a comment. I couldn't hear. There's something about a playground being eliminated. Could you just explain what you were talking about?
So my name is Jeff Guay. I live at 4 Underwood. I'm the one who hired Jeff Greg rather, Jeffrey, to he surveyed it. Yeah, our kids had a playground. We just took it down and we made a garden. That's it.
Okay, so that's not part of any lot line adjustment criteria because that can't
Nope.
be.
There's nothing in the
No.
way now. But
Okay.
it was old. Our kids are at the age of they don't need it. It's kind of unsafe.
Right, yeah, I just wanted to be clear that that's nothing that the town would have jurisdiction over as far as controlling, whether or not you take down a playground set for a lot line adjustment.
Yeah, we're just trying to make something we inherited. We're just trying to make it right. Like this problem's existed for over 40 years. we just-
And I guess this a question for Jeff. Is there any way that you can increase the 6 foot to make that larger? So it's not 6 feet and so it's not encroaching 14 feet?
So going back to the concept of an equal area lot line adjustment, when you, the larger you make the triangle, each triangle has to, they expand in size. And so there's a septic system that's right behind number 2. I would say it's behind I'm estimating it's behind the deck, and it goes out to just about where the pool would start. I'm gonna estimate that. Daryl could probably comment on that. So
Yeah, that's right.
it would encroach, if you increase the size, then now you're starting to encroach on the septic system, and it brings up a whole new set of issues.
And what is on where I have my little arrow? What's over here in the house? That's not a garage or anything? Like what part of the house is right here?
I believe you're pointing at the garage. Because
The
can you see where
garage.
the driveway, can you see where the
Right, this is the
driveway?
driveway, right? So
Yes.
this is the driveway and then
Yeah.
this is the garage.
Exactly.
It's attached garage.
It's attached, yeah.
And there's no doors over here or exit ways or anything? Is that just all flush, like just a wall?
No, I don't think there's any windows. It's just a
one
wall, yeah.
window.
So no door, nothing over here?
No, not on that side.
Is there vegetation, like trees, anything right here?
Not at this time.
Okay. Any questions from the board before I open it up for public input?
No, nope, we're good.
All right, so I'm going to open it up for public input. I can't see if anybody's there in the room with you folks.
Yes, there is. It's public here.
Does anybody want to comment for public input that it's present in the room?
My name's Jeffrey Guay. I'm the one that lives at 4 Underwood. I just came to see. I just really would like to resolve this.
You support this?
100%. Me and my wife wrote a letter supporting it. Like I said, we identified this before they sold their house. The real estate agent and the sellers were not honest with the buyers. Once they 100% knew this was a problem. And I commemorate like Mr. George. He's trying to do the right thing and solve it. We just want to get this behind us. I felt terrible the day they moved in with their parents. They asked what the stakes were, and I said, that's the property line in there. I felt like I ruined their day. They're excited about his house. I just I 100% agree with this. And like Greg was saying, the further out we come, we can't go 20 feet. It would just make our property so weird. This is, I think, a good happy medium. I'd just like to get it done.
I think if you do come out further, it gets closer to your pool.
Mhm.
Looks like you're probably 20 feet from the setback as it is right now with your pool, roughly. 30
Well,
feet.
I don't know the exact measurements,
That
but yeah.
line is the proposed.
Oh, okay.
Well, the further back it goes, it gets closer to both pools, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It looks like the
It's-
concern
you gotta
is a lot too.
Right, it hinges on that point.
Yep.
It's, I wouldn't want the lot line to encroach on the septic system Litchfield, not just not just the pool there.
Well, because then the leach field becomes uncompliant.
Right, and then if you keep going, increasing the size of the triangle, now the pool becomes uncompliant also.
Okay. So this is what you felt was the best.
This is an agreement between the two abutters.
Like I said, we inherited this problem. We're really just trying to make it right. That's really it. It's awkward.
Mhm.
And I just realized you did not go through your 5 points yet before I opened it up to public input. Did you want to just go through the 5 points? And then we'll go back to public input?
Okay, so you're talking about the 5 points that are on the variance application, is that correct?
That's correct.
I'll just bring them up. Okay, the variance will not be contrary to the public interest because it will make a non-conforming lot more conforming. The spirit of the ordinance is observed because currently the dwelling is situated on the neighbor's deeded property. A lot line adjustment will make it so that each dwelling is within its own property lines. Number 3, substantial justice is done because, to no fault of the owner, the addition was built over the lot line in 1977. To grant the variance would make the dwelling more conforming. Number 4, the values of surrounding properties are not diminished because the lot line adjustment will result in no net change area for either lot. It will make the subject property more conforming. And number 5, literal enforcement of the provision of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship because a building permit was issued by the Litchfield Building Department in 1977. But for the fact a pre-construction proposed plot plan was not required, this situation would not have occurred. That is the unnecessary hardship.
Okay, thank you. Board, before we go back to the public, any questions about the 5 points of law?
Oh, we're good, Laura.
No questions here.
Sorry, no questions, Laura.
Okay, so I'm going to bring it back to public input. Is there anybody else in the room that would like to comment?
George is on the WebEx. Would he like to comment?
Daryl, do you have any comment?
Oh, sorry.
I'm all set. I just want to get this thing done.
Yeah, the way it's been put to me is the can has been kicked down the road for 40 years.
And is there anybody else online that wishes to comment? I don't know, John Brunel, can you see if there's anybody else that wants to make any type of public comment?
Madam Chair, there are no other members of the public online.
Thank you. All right, so we will close public input. If somebody wants to make a motion to close public input,
Make a motion to close public input.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everybody's in favor, so that was 4-0-0. So we'll bring it back to the board for discussion. Any general comments before we get into the 5 points?
Nope.
All right. So the first point is the variance will not be contrary to the public interest because it will make a non-conforming lot more conforming.
Agreed.
Agreed.
The second, the spirit of the ordinance is observed. Currently, the dwelling is situated on the neighbor's deeded property. A lot line adjustment will make it so that each dwelling is within the property lines.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Substantial justice is done to no fault of the owner. The addition was built over the lot line in 1977. To grant the variance would make the dwelling more conforming.
Agreed.
And 4, I mean, his answers, I know we're agreeing to them. They're not necessarily addressing them the way those points of law are intended to be addressed. I mean, substantial justice, as the board's aware, is the balancing act between the loss to the applicant is greater than any gain to the public. So if we look at that analysis, I think that we would agree that by not allowing them to correct this, that loss is greater than any gain to the public because we don't want to have somebody's house on somebody else's property. And the same with the 1 and 2, just the spirit, we're talking about setback. So they're still going to be encroaching into the setback, but obviously we're trying to make this situation better than what it was before. The values, the values of surrounding. Oops, sorry, was somebody talking?
Sorry, Laura. No, I was gonna say along the lines of the spirit, they're still trying to maintain a similar alignment with the lot line as well. I agree that you could, push it out farther to get the necessary setback, but then you're going to have a very non-characteristic lot line between the two properties, which follows the spirit of what they're trying to
Oh, I agree.
match the existing.
I agree. The values of surrounding properties are not diminished. The lot line adjustment will result in no net change area for either lot. It will make the subject property more conforming. And I think further analysis for that particular criteria would be the lot line as proposed isn't, Kyle, like you were saying, such that it's going to be a weird lot line that would make somebody not want to purchase that property because it's just so out of conformity with any type of regulations that it would result in a loss to somebody's property values.
Agreed.
5, literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship because he said the building permit was issued by the Litchfield Building Department in 1977 and it was issued incorrectly. So he's claiming that that is the hardship. That is a hardship. I don't think that's necessarily the hardship that is intended by the way we are to interpret the 5th criteria. I think a better way to look at that hardship would be that as the property exists, you have a house that's on somebody else's property.
Yeah, you have special circumstances for both lots.
Exactly.
That will, that this adjustment, this variance actually is probably the best solution based on the special circumstances. I think that's in line with that criteria number 5. And that the criteria, I mean, those issues are the pool, the septic system, the infringement on the lot line setback. So it all comes to play in that this is a happy medium that basically provides the best solution based on the special circumstances.
Any other comments, thoughts, or discussions?
Nope. I'd like to make a motion.
Before we make a motion, just whoever wants to make the motion, I think we need to make sure that if the motion is to grant the variance, it is contingent upon planning board approval for the lot line adjustment with the notation of the variance noted on that plan.
Yes.
Agreed.
I'd like to make a
And,
motion.
yep, and one other thing, Al, before you do that, the hearing notice says it's encroaching 6 feet. It's actually encroaching 14 feet into the 20 foot setback.
Exactly.
That's correct. 14 feet.
Okay.
We can fix that.
As of now, though, it's negative.
Negative 26.
Getting the numbers all
Let's
mixed up.
You want to make the motion? Or you want me to? I'd like to make the motion to grant the variance to the lot line adjustment on condition that the planning board accepts the lot line adjustment in future meetings
Variance is the 14-foot.
with a 14-foot setback encroachment.
Yes, there you go.
Do I have a second?
I have a second.
All in favor? I'm going to do this by roll call vote because I'm not there. So I say aye. Al,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
So your request for a variance to section 310 to allow a 14-foot encroachment into the side setback with the condition that you obtain planning board approval with the notation of the variance on the plan was granted 400.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Do you want,
write a letter?
yeah, here's a letter. Should we have that in the,
My name, my wife, 100% agree.
I think we should probably put that into the
Into the record.
record?
Yep.
You agree, Laura?
I didn't hear what you said.
Members of the public have a letter? think
I
we
don't
should-
have a letter in my
They
packet.
brought it tonight.
We just wrote one saying I wasn't sure if I was coming, but just that we 100% comply with what's going on. That's all.
So if we have that letter,
Yes.
Yeah.
you can mark that as Exhibit 1.
Sure. All set?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have another case, but before I get to that case, because I want to discuss something with the board first. We've been trying to recruit new members and, figure things out. We still don't have an official chair of the meeting. I've been acting, somewhat as chair with the help from the whole board. But to make it easier for me to participate as chair and to kind of figure things out with COVID and the board, I spoke with Troy about changing our meeting date to the third Monday of each month instead of the second Wednesday. And I didn't know how the board felt about that.
Sounds good to me.
That works for
In
me.
favor.
So in order to do that, it would just be a temporary change. So we would have to waive the provision of our bylaws. And because our bylaws provide in section 4.0 that regular meetings shall be held at the town hall at 7 p.m. on the second Wednesday of each month. So I am going to make a motion to temporarily waive that provision of section 4.0 of our bylaws to allow meetings to temporarily occur, starting with our July meeting for the third Monday of each month until further notice. And I would need a second for that.
I will second that.
I'll second.
All right,
Tony
and now,
said he'll third that.
I'll third it.
any discussion on that motion?
We
All
were
right,
just
so-
talking about possibly changing the time so that it would eliminate conflicts that we've been dealing with. So it's a great idea, Laura.
So I will do a roll call vote. I vote yes. Al,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Okay, so with that, there's other business I want to talk about board members and all that fun stuff. I just want to take care of case number 2021-08 that was continued from the May 12th. That's a variance from LZO section 310 to allow the installation of an in-ground swimming pool measuring 35 feet by 15 feet, which would encroach approximately 15 feet into the rear setback where 20 feet is required. That's Roger Solier, owner and applicant for 1 Grove Court, Litchfield, New Hampshire. He submitted a request to continue on June 2nd. This letter is a request that the above mentioned case, which is scheduled for the hearing before the Zoning Board of Adjustment on June 9th, to be continued to the next available meeting date of the Zoning Board of Adjustment by a vote to continue to a date certain. Thank you for your anticipated cooperation. Yours truly, Roger Solid. So our next available meeting date would be July 19th. So I am going to make a motion to grant the applicant's request to continue case number 2021-08 till July 19th.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion on the motion?
Nope.
All right, all in favor? We'll do roll call. I say aye.
Aye.
Al, John,
Aye.
Kyle?
I
So case number 2021-08 is continued until July 19th at 7 p.m. That brings us to communication and other business. We are still trying to figure out how to fill our empty vacancies for board members. We do have a list of people who have requested a desire to serve on the board. So the question for us is, how do we want to go about getting these people in front of the Board of Selectmen? We can do a couple of things. We can interview them ourselves. We can just review the applications, make a recommendation to Troy, who would then take it to the Board of Selectmen. So we have a couple of options. Not quite sure if people want to partake in that process, or if we just want to do something different. So just trying to get a feel for the board, what they would like to do.
So I was under the impression that that the Board of Selectmen were responsible for appointing ZBA members. So that it would, to me, that would mean that they would be they would be doing the interviewing. Did they offer or request that we would screen the candidates before they received them?
I think we've been requested by Troy
Okay,
to either interview or send our list of to the board.
like basically a paper review of
So
their,
what he would like to do, Laura, I'm sorry, I don't mean to take over the meeting.
No, go right ahead.
Talking with Troy, Troy kind of felt that if we gave our list to him, that he would send those names to the Board of Selectmen in next week's meeting. And then they would approve people and have them come in and be sworn in.
so
So they still have their say in it.
I gotcha. So they will be the final vote
Yes,
as required.
yes.
But this is a way to help them with the large set of
Yes, because
That's
I've been on the board, I think, 13, 14 years now. I think Laura's got me beat. But we've reached out quite a few times to the community, and this is like the overwhelming amount of people that have, the
Wow.
most overwhelming amount of people I've ever seen.
How many applicants?
I want to say there are 10. Does that sound about right, Laura?
I was gonna say 9, but it very well could be 10.
Yeah, I think it is 10. I know that we put a Facebook request out on Litchfield What's Up, and I got bombarded with emails and messages.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
And how many board members and how many alternates are we looking
so
for?
it would be, now that I met you,
Yeah,
it would be 1 alternate and 2 full-time board members, Laura?
I believe that's right.
I think it's still a good idea to see if we could go with two alternates and 2 members. That way we know that we could still have 5 people here on any given week.
By state statute, we can only have 5 members appointed and 3 alternates, so we can't have anybody in excess of that. And also typically, Kyle, you're an alternate member. My preference is to give alternate members first dabs on becoming a full member. And we, so if that's something that you're interested in doing, that would be something that, the board would want to know, and we can make that recommendation to the Board of Selectmen.
okay. Yeah, obviously I've been busy the past few months, so I would want to just make sure that I can make that commitment to be here. I don't want to, say I can and not show up. So I'll give that some consideration.
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that that's an option for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Laura, also, I've been watching other towns' zoning board meetings lately. I'm actually attending one on Monday night in another town. And I'm wondering if we should kind of, when we are recruiting alternate members and whatnot, we should try to get them to come to each meeting. If we can, they can still sit in, they just can't be a voting part of the meeting. I noticed that other towns have full-time board members and alternates. It's good because then they get to know what's going on, 1, with a case in case they have to step in the following month. And 2, it gets them to see exactly how the meetings are held. And I notice sometimes people become afraid, like Kyle, that was great tonight. Step right up and
Yeah.
ask the questions, but people get nervous. And I think it'd be good if we could get them to possibly come to some of the meetings every now and then. And
Yeah, so it's a learning experience, and so I would agree that if we could get all 5 members and all alternates to show up, it would be awesome. But
yeah.
it's hard.
It's
hard
a
to get by.
it's a good training.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Maybe not every meeting, but if we could get them to, participate, it would be great.
So I'm open to really any way that you'd prefer going through the list. I don't think it's a bad idea to take a look ourselves to see if there's any issues, and then maybe we could go from there to bring people in for interviews. I think I'd like to take a look at the list first. That would be, I think that'd be useful.
So my thought was, because I really would like to try to move the process along, just because we are without members, would be for everybody who wants to take a look at the potential candidates and then forward to Troy, in order your top 5 picks. And then let Troy take everybody's responses, compile them, and how he sees fit, present that to the Board of Selectmen.
That's a great idea. I like that.
Laura,
Alright.
do you have the email that I sent with I believe I sent you an email with maybe 5 or 6 of the candidates that had some background in what we do?
Sure, and I'll have Troy compile it too, just so we can have all everybody there on equal footing. And then, if you wanted to send an email to Troy and CC everybody with the reasons why you are in favor of certain people. But again, we can't have a discussion between ourselves via email. That's a violation of the right to know. So if you just wanted to send an email and CC everybody saying, these are my top 5, with your reasons to elaborate on that, that would be appropriate, but not to get into a discussion of a dialogue with any other board members. That would not be appropriate.
We don't want to have a meeting via email. That's what we need to avoid.
Exactly.
Just with that email, we'll just send in who we
Right.
believe is.
That sounds good. Now, I have this letter from the abutter from the last case. Should I just stick it in the window of the selectman's office? So-
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll send a notice I'll send an email letting them know that that's there.
Awesome.
And another thing that I would like to do that it's going to require probably some outlay of funds would be to possibly have somebody from the New Hampshire Municipal Association come in and do some training for the board, especially because we're going to be getting some new members. So I will be asking Troy to bring that forward to the Board of Selectmen to get us some training.
Sounds like a good idea.
So would they come here to town hall or would we?
They usually do with COVID. It's my understanding that they're doing it via Zoom or WebEx or something like that. I would prefer in-person training, but whatever their protocol is, obviously that's what we will have to go with.
Sounds good.
That's all I got. Anybody else have anything?
I think I can make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
All right, I'm going to do a roll call vote. Aye. Al?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
All right, so our meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We'll see everybody July 19th.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Lauren.
Bye.
Thank you, John Brunel.
Have a good night.